Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, delivered to you by the great folks at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
Use promo code CONVODD, capital C.
No, man, take a drink of water. I can hear you chomping on your rice over there.
Well, I had a great lunch.
You're still, I can hear you chewing on it. That's the problem with these mics.
I'm
you get
good.
right in there. You
I'm
tried
good.
to sneak a bite in with 5 seconds left.
Look.
Oh
I was in a precarious position today. It was a rushed morning skate. We're going to talk about it.
I can hear the rice.
I don't have
squishing
rice
between your teeth.
I'm fine. You're just so emotional today.
No, I'm not emotional today. I'm not emotional.
We had a pretty good day today, actually. The morning skate was fun. We'll get into it. DoorDash, promo code there is CONVODD. Capital C, capital D's, all one word, CONVODD. That will get you 25% off and free delivery on your first order with the DoorDash app. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. My name is Dave Gutrelli, joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. High above, Rogers Arena, our technical producer is Alex Allard. Daniel Wagner is sitting in the room next to us. Mm-hmm. I was hoping he would make a cameo on the show, but he's doing work.
Yeah, he's doing work.
Morning skate. Mm-hmm. It was fun. And yeah, like, you made it. I didn't have too much food in my mouth. And look, I was under the gun today. You know how it is. Yeah,
but I don't know. You were all excited. You said it was a busy morning skate for the media there, which is basically just what we say when you show up, actually. Because it's normally about the same amount of people. But it's funny hearing you. You're like, wow, pretty busy day today. I was like, no, this is like the normal amount of people. It's just you're here. That's the only difference.
Well, look, when I was doing it every day last year, thank God I don't have to do that anymore, there was not that many people. That was a well-attended morning skate.
It was. Let me, I know people like the Monster update. What do we got today? We got the Monster Reserve Watermelon, which is, I think, pretty new to Canada in the last few months. This is a Canadian one. Tomorrow I got a fancy American one. I just had my Ghost.
The Watermelon Mountain Dew.
No, you just had rice and chicken, and you still got a little bit between your teeth.
No. I had the Watermelon Mountain Dew. You gave me some, and it was delicious. Yep. And Wags had some too. Wags had the rest of the can. I had a sip. I try not to drink too much of that stuff.
For people on the YouTube, working on getting a little bit of a graphic sort of change, because we got that nice background. We want to use it, but the Nation Network people, we got a meeting this morning. I'm talking to the big bosses.
Yeah, so much for your big, here's what's going to happen.
Well, here's the thing, and we'll get to our announcement here. This is what happens. I try and bring something up to the bosses, and what result comes of it? You getting a day off. So the rich keep getting richer here at the Nation Network, while us workers, we got to carry the weight of everyone.
Hey, I'm a worker too.
Yeah, but you're the rich get richer. You got an extra day off this show. But that's let's get to the big announcement. I think it's a big announcement. It's not like a huge surprise, I don't think, as well. Because
at least we didn't tweet 5 days ago being like, big announcement coming, and then it's just what we have. And what we have,
Quinn Hughes will be coming out of college to play this year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm very excited. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. Since I'm the one who's going to be doing it. Since, like I said, the rich keep getting richer, you get another day off.
Speaking of the rich getting richer, go ahead and make the announcement.
Yeah, good point. So moving forward here on the show every Friday, the rich do keep getting richer. Good point. Harman Dial is going to join me in here every Friday now. So you're going to have the day off. You're going to be at home, feet up in the air. You got your massage chair going.
Yeah. Counting my gold coins.
Yeah. Caviar being served to you by your butler over there in Burnaby. You and Donnie, you get 2 hours each with butler Burnaby. Every day. North Burnaby,
the gated community of North Burnaby.
Yeah. So we got Harman's going to join me every Friday here on the show, which I'm super excited about. Obviously, we've had good history with the podcast, and Harman joining us as like a group of 3. He also filled in quite a bit in the summer for when one of us wanted a week off and stuff. So listen, I'm super pumped to have Harm join the show. He's going to be here, moving forward every Friday, unless he's on the road. Then then you don't get your long weekends like I know you've been asking for, and they'll give you everything you asked for. I can't even get a stand to hold up my camera behind me. You get a Friday.
You had one and you broke it. I was the one that reported. They were like, oh no, do we not have sufficient equipment for Faber? I'm like, no, he just didn't read the instructions.
No, I read the instructions, and I'm pretty sure you were the one who said, no, it should stick up there on the wall. It'll stick up on the wall. It's got a good suction thing. And you know what the craziest thing is? When that camera fell behind me, I still haven't found where it went.
That is bizarre. Genuinely,
it completely disappeared and it's
broke.
nowhere.
I saw it shatter. It kind of startled me.
I found the piece that holds it. I got it right here. But like the whole like actual stand that like was into the wall, I have no idea where it went. I have no idea.
It beats me. Like, I wish I had an answer for you. I saw it break. That's about it. Also, I just turned on my light.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They're like, oh, all the big bosses, Faber, we need a green screen behind you. You need a full green screen behind you. Yeah, so Alex can put whatever the hell he wants behind me.
That was an inside job. That was me that suggested that.
And I haven't heard a lick of you having a green screen behind you. You just got that thing behind you there with the Canucks Convo put. Why don't I have the poster behind me? I tell you, the rich keep getting richer here at the network. Okay. And I am, once again, carrying the weight of a company, it feels like sometimes.
One of my favorite moments on this podcast is when you were talking about, I think it was the draft. I'm not sure when it was, but you were talking about the whip being cracked on you.
Well, that's what I was like.
Yeah. That cracked me up.
The amount of work I was doing in Montreal.
Okay. Come on now.
Well, all those DoorDash videos.
Half the work was eating and flying.
Well, they wanted videos of me eating. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. It was work's work, you know?
Yeah.
It all adds up.
Okay. So Harman's gonna be joining us. People have been asking for a while. Where's Harman?
Every Friday, you stay home. Don't come down the Sky Train or however you get here. Your helicopter that lands here, the Nation Network helicopter, which I haven't sniffed at all. Okay. Must be nice.
Harman joining us. People have been asking for a while, like, where's Harman? Because, you know, before the merger with the Nation Network, when we were kind of just on our own, we were just paying Harman ourselves, and, you know, that was fine. But
not now for my wallet.
Well, it was both of our wallets, to be clear. But now, the money himself, Harman Dial, going to be joining the show. We're super pumped about it. It's going to be once a week, like you said, unless he's on the road.
See, Zabero's in the chat. Zabero's in the chat. Poor Faber. Hard work doesn't get rewarded anymore.
He does get rewarded, just to be clear.
Yeah, really. Putting in more work here.
Anyways,
and Lisa's got a good point. We got to get the "Here Comes the Money." I don't know what kind of copyright infringement or whatever.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'll just include that in the podcast. YouTube, if they get you on YouTube, hard. You can't use any songs.
I might record myself just singing it and then send it to you guys.
I think that's not even allowed either.
No, I think it is. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's get to the Canucks here. Right. Yeah, Harman's going to be joining us. Very excited about it. Okay.
Yeah, every Friday.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to
start? Top trade targets, man. Frank Seravalli's got his list out, and number one on the list, Horvat, sitting at number one on the trade targets list right now. And Frank put out some teams just of note to maybe keep an eye on: Colorado, Boston, Edmonton, Detroit. I look at some of those teams. I look at all four of those teams, and what do I think with the Bo Horvat deal? A sign and trade. I think all those teams would be interested in a long-term deal with Bo Horvat moving forward. Edmonton's a little, you know, like, can they afford another center at that much money as Bo Horvat's going to look for? Maybe, but I tell you what, Bo Horvat playing with Connor McDavid, you got the two leading scorers in the league, and what, you got Leon Draisaitl, who's like top of the league for points as well. Like, that would be a ridiculous forward group if they added him there. But I think like Boston and Colorado and Detroit would love Bo Horvat long-term. So yeah, I mean, like, it's no surprise to me to see him coming in at number one on Frank Seravalli's list. And Frank even titled the whole article. He said, "Let the bidding begin."
Yeah.
For Canucks captain Bo Horvat. I mean,
and
that's where we're at. He's number one on the trade targets list.
Brock Boeser coming in at 16 on that list of 20 players. Luke Schenn, a noticeable miss from that list. Right. And I'm curious. I'm not reporting anything, but I'm curious if the Canucks internally are kind of looking at Luke Schenn and saying, hold on a second, if we're not going to get anything great in return for this guy, maybe we should just look at an extension. So I wonder if the Canucks are just trying to decide what they're going to do, and maybe it'll come down to the 11th hour, similar to how it did with Tyler Mott, right? Where the Canucks were like, maybe we can sign this guy, maybe we can sign this guy. Not going to be possible to sign him. Okay, we'll take a 4th round pick for him.
That's true.
And again, you see in Toronto right now, the Leafs just lost Morgan Riley, LTIR, minimum of 10 games, 24 days. Jake Muzzin's out too. Like, they're in trouble in Toronto. And again, maybe a reunion with Luke Schenn is in the cards, but again, how much is Toronto or any team willing to give up for Luke Schenn, who in here, he's a first pairing guy, right. But for most teams that are trading for a Luke Schenn or trading for a defenseman like him, probably going to be looking at 3rd pairing minutes, which is capable of.
And I mean, yeah, and look at the role he did with Tampa Bay winning 2 cups though, right? Like, came in and played when they needed him and totally fit right in when they needed him. And that's the thing, you can use him as a 7th defenseman on a really good team. That's a really good 7th defenseman to have. Like, we talk about how good Kyle Burrows is as a 7th defenseman here in Vancouver, but if you're using Luke Schenn as your 7th defenseman, you're feeling pretty damn good about the depth that you have, because an injury doesn't wreck your defense. Like, what happens if the Canucks lose a right shot defenseman? It sure gets wrecked pretty quick, right? Like, you know, especially if it were to be Luke Schenn, which might happen in a trade. So we'll have to see what happens moving forward. But I think there is going to be significant value in Luke Schenn if he just continues to do what he's doing this year.
Yeah.
Right? Be physical, be a leader, be a guy that's, a lot of nights having to drag this Canucks team into the fight, right? Like, unless Kyle Burrow's in the lineup or unless the fourth line is on the ice or Elias Pettersson, like a lot of the times his team needs to be dragged into the fight. And Luke Schenn does that every single night, which is exceptional, right?
Yeah.
And AJB coming into the chat here, should be Miller, not Bo. I mean, I don't think that, though Miller
I think it's too late for that.
Yeah, though Miller wasn't on the top 20 trade targets from Frank Seravalli, I tell you what, if there was a trade to come for JT Miller, I would assume the Canucks are definitely taking that call. If you're calling about JT Miller and his future, I have to think the Canucks are taking that call for sure. So I don't think that just because Miller's not on that top 20 list, because he's probably not one of the guys that's actively being shopped, because it's hard to shop that guy.
Sure.
It's incredibly hard to shop that guy.
You call Lou Lamoriello as much as possible.
Oh yeah. I mean, you definitely you keep that phone open, and as soon as somebody calls about JT Miller, it's straight to Patrick Alvin's phone or Jim Rutherford's phone. And we got a message, another one here in the live chat from Jarhead.
Yeah.
You guys need your own YouTube channel. Hate seeing Oilers and Flames content on my recommended. Tell you what, though I've been disrespected, just kidding. No, the network, they've that didn't mean that. They have listened to the requests that people in the chat have put in, and people online have seen it, and my request as well to have our own channel. We're working towards it. I believe we have one.
No, it's starting today. Okay, so hang on a sec. So
yes, we're having our own YouTube channel.
I'll explain. It's starting today.
Because I'm tired of seeing all this oily boy, oily this, oily flame, who lighting up, barn burning. I don't know what they're doing.
Nobody wants to see the Oilers content. I get it. So Canucks Army is going to have its own YouTube channel, folks. We're really excited about it. All of the clips are going to be going on that channel. All of the clips that we've been posting, all of our full interviews that get posted after every show. Right now, the live streams are going to stay on the Nation Network YouTube channel. So if you want to watch the live stream, you're still going to have to watch it here.
But I hope that's switching.
That is switching.
Okay,
that is switching.
Changing, right?
We need a bunch of subscribers in order to switch to that. That's the thing is there's a bunch of stuff to get done before you monetize or something. I don't speak YouTube. I just know that we have to get a bunch of subscribers before we get the opportunity to live stream on YouTube.
We just need people, everyone in the chat here right now. Everyone's pumped in the chat. Obviously, I'm pumped about it too. So make sure you subscribe to that. We'll get some links out for that.
Yeah, we'll be putting links out. We'll put them out on Twitter. I'll have an article on Canucks Army by the end of the week saying hey, go subscribe to the channel when it's populated with clips a little bit. I'm not going to do it today. Yeah, just hit my plate.
Yeah, I know.
Food.
Another piece of rice falling on the floor.
I did drop some rice on your floor. I feel bad about that. I cleaned it up though. Regardless,
hey
though,
guys, I'm here now,
and we're very excited about that.
Perfect. We got Alex here as well, which is good. Geez, they keep you long over there, Alex, on the Send show, eh?
Yeah, we don't treat Alex
overtime
like
over there, Alex. Yeah. We get you out at nice and early. Alex, how are you doing today? We're chatting about our feelings today.
No, it's good. I came in. You're talking about how you guys got to get your own YouTube channel, which I see the chat is flying off here. I'm catching up real quick, but that's certainly a step in the right direction, right? Getting the viewers' content all kind of matching up and not seeing Canucks and Oilers stuff mixing, or more like Oilers and Flames and whatever. So
it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We're really excited about it.
We'll be here for now because you guys are used to coming here for now. We kind of have to transition slowly over, and eventually we will get the live show on your YouTube channel.
Just flood it with subscribers. Tell your friends to subscribe to the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Get your grandma, everybody.
I got a text from my Nana last night, so she might be listening. She might be watching the show again today. She was watching it last night on YouTube. She said, "I'm watching you on YouTube."
She's subscribing?
Well, we'll get her on the new one here. She'll be on the Canucks Army one here soon.
Get her as a guest.
She doesn't need to be here for 45 minutes. She just comes with clips.
Nana Faber, get her on.
It opens a whole new competition, right? Who's going to get more subscribers? The Oilers show or the Flames show? You guys, the Canucks show. You guys can't be beat by Calgary. You're being beat by Ottawa. That's
okay. Watch it, Alex.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Can you quickly run a Google search on how to mute a producer's mic?
Yeah, he's got too much power over there.
He's got way too much power.
We're working on it, Alex. We're working on it. This YouTube thing's new to us. But for everyone on the podcast, everyone listening on the podcast, same thing. Nothing's going to change there, aside from no more quads on Fridays. So that's exciting.
So that'll come as welcome news to a lot of people,
including me. Let's get to tomorrow's, or let's get to yesterday's game. Let's chat about it a little bit here. The Vancouver Canucks end up losing 5-4 to the Vegas Golden Knights. Geez, 17 minutes talking about who knows what. But let's get to the game yesterday. 5-4 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. 6 total goals in the third period. Man, I mean, another blown 2-goal lead. Vegas was just a much better team throughout the game, right? I mean, Thatcher Demko, I thought, held this team in quite a bit in the first 40 minutes, and then unfortunately the floodgates just burst from the amount of scoring chances you're seeing against this Vegas Golden Knights team. I mean, they were all over the Vancouver Canucks. And Alex, we'll get you to pull up the shot volume one here from Natural Stat Trick. But Vegas had 37 scoring chances at 5-on-5. The Canucks had 20. The interesting thing about that is, like, yeah, the Canucks had some scoring chances, and people on YouTube can see this. All 5 of the goals came from within about 10 feet of the crease. And just looking at where, like, the shot totals are coming, the Canucks are getting a lot of shots from, the top of the circle. All of Vegas's shots are coming from right around the net. And there was times throughout the game, and Luke Shen talked about this in the post game, like, the Canucks just need to do a better job of clearing out that area, man. Like, they were making it too easy. And I think Vegas's coach talked about this after as well. Just like when they found out that they could go to the net, like, that's known around the league, it sounds like, that the Canucks aren't going to be that strong around their crease. And once Vegas found out that's what they could do, they were like, okay, we'll just do like the easiest thing of scoring and just going straight to the net hard. We're going to get our sticks on pucks and score. Like, that's what happened last night. You saw all 5 goals just right around the crease there. And I mean, it was tough to watch, right? Like, you could just feel the game getting away from the Canucks, and all the players talked about it. Nobody's got an answer. Hearing Elias Pettersson even in the post game as well, like, every question that was asked of him, he's trying to answer, and he just doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know what to say.
And shout out to Elias Pettersson, because he played really well in that game.
Sure.
He solidified himself as a 3-way player when he made that save with the net empty. Like, yep. I've been nothing but impressed with Elias Pettersson this year. And again, I know he only gets 1 goal for his efforts last night. Guy was all over the ice last night. And again, it's just, you almost wish that you had 10 Elias Petterssons on your team. Because right now, again, there's no answers. Everybody's kind of, struggling to find answers. But the one thing we've been talking about is these long possessions against. And I know you asked Bruce Boudreau about this. He didn't like it as much as Elias Pettersson did, and we'll get to it in a sec. But, I was talking to Curtis Lazar today. And I just said, like, these blown leads, like, does it come down to the mental side of the game? And he said, yeah, it does. And I said, okay, well, what about structure? Like, if you play with better structure, he goes, the systems are just kind of there, and that's what guides you, but you need to actually go out and do it yourself, basically, is what he said. And Riley Stillman talked about systems too.
Oh, that was a hot little audio there.
Riley Stillman talked about how he's not used to man-to-man defensive systems, because he played zone in Chicago. So we've heard that before. Like, you watch and they're playing man-to-man defense. I think Joshua was the guy who brought it up earlier in the year, but it was interesting to hear Stillman kind of say it today, because I don't know, it kind of felt taboo to kind of talk about the system like that.
No, I think so. And I think the interesting thing was, and we'll get to the audio here in just a minute of Elias Pettersson talking about it, but like, there it is right there.
I was excited for a second.
What the interesting thing, though, is like, just it seemed like Pettersson, the way that he answered the question was like, well, we should maybe do this, but we're doing this. And then Boudreau had a very different answer to the question, but it just felt like, yeah, like, okay, so maybe you can pull up this tweet, Alex, that I got there. Just my tweet from last night about, like, you can see it. Like, you can see the goals coming. It feels like so many goals against the Canucks. You can see it 30 seconds ahead of time, right? Like, you're like, oh, gee, like, once they get like 5 or 6 passes on a cycle, they almost get scored on every single time. And it's just like these long possessions in their zone just don't get broken up. They don't get broken up because, and that's the thing, like Stillman talks about it, they're stuck in man formation here, and they can't seem to just be able to make a play, like get aggressive and make a play. And Alex, I guess we can get you to run the Elias Pettersson audio whenever you can. Elias Pettersson talked about it when I asked him about how to kind of break up these long possessions. Let's hear what Elias Pettersson had to say. I think my question's in here as well. Go ahead, Alex.
With those long possessions that the other team's having, is it about somebody making a play, or do you think it's about how you guys are rotating? Like, how do you break up those long possessions?
Good question. I don't know if we need to have a first guy who goes to a guy if he needs to try kill the play right away, or I think we do, but if we need to like kind of shrink the zone to kind of like trap them, I don't know. I mean, we play good defensively most of the time, and sometimes when we don't, we really get stuck and they get long shifts and we get tired and they get momentum. So when those situations happen, we just got to find a way to kill the play quicker.
Is there a way to do zone compared to man-to-man in that spot to cut those zone things?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy when we can look on video and then see, okay, we're going to do this time, and the next game, it's different plays happening. I mean, we can't think out there. It's just got to happen with our habits. So, yeah, again, it's been a lot not knowing what their answer is, but it's just got to be better.
And that was basically the theme of Pettersson's availability yesterday, was just not knowing the answer. And that's why I asked him, hey, listen, I know that today we heard Stillman talk about the man-to-man, but this isn't the first time we've heard it discussed. And a lot of teams just run a zone defense or a combination of both. I think JT Miller talked about it today when I asked him about it, and it was a man and a half, sort of like a half zone, but also man. So when you really, it's kind of about making rotations. You think about in football, when DBs are defending receivers and they cross on you, and you have to be just aware enough to know when to switch your man, but you're still kind of staying in man, but you're also working a zone as well, just from how the play develops in front of you. If the Canucks are just forced to be chasing the whole time in man-to-man, that is going to be something that hurts them. And I also think that also pulls away from defensemen being able to control the crease and be able to just keep a little bit of defense. In a zone, you can always have two defensemen around your crease clearing it out, right? It doesn't if his man is in the crease, it doesn't really matter in zone, because it's somebody's going to be there. So it looks, I don't know, we've heard so much about structure, we've heard so much about it, and I wonder if that's the difference. Is that what Jim Rutherford wants? Does he want to see his defense be played in a zone formation? I'd have to look more into it on what teams he's had in the past.
Yeah.
And even those Pittsburgh Penguins teams, were they in zone? Is that why the defense worked for them, even though they didn't have a strong defense core? Look at those teams that went to the Stanley Cup. I mean, not full 1 to 6 great defensemen throughout. They had Chris Letang and I think even missed him for one of the playoff runs that they had really long too. Maybe that's the thing, that when you hear about structure, that might be what we're hearing from Jim Rutherford when he comes out and talks about it. Because I think the players are, and Pettersson said it there interesting in the quote, was he tried to just kind of, he didn't have an answer for it, but he also said we don't want to be in a spot where we have to think. Right. And if you're comfortable in your structure, you shouldn't have to think. It should be automatic where you're going, who you're covering, which zone you're all over. And I think that might be the thing that we hear about with structure a little bit. It's put them in a spot where they don't have to think and can just react to what you see as the outcome around you. That would be a good thing for this Canucks team. And that's the thing I think we talk about with structure so much. It's just last couple of days, it's been interesting to hear the quotes from some of the players talking about it and finally start to key in on this talk of structure, because it felt like a joke for a long time. We were just saying, oh, structure this, structure that. But I don't know. The quotes over the past few days have been kind of more about the actual things that are happening with structure. It's strange. There's been a shift, I think, over the past few days here in the locker room about that. From what I've noticed anyways. I mean, I've been there every day for the last, since they've been here at home. And it feels a little different than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there before, but I experienced it today when I was there. Just kind of the answers you're hearing out of that room right now. And again, players aren't usually open to talking about this kind of stuff, but Elias Pettersson was super open.
Well, you saw it today. How much did you hear it today? Everybody was talking about it. All the players were being asked about it and talking about it.
Yep. Bruce Boudreau didn't want to talk about it last night.
No.
Do we have this audio?
Let's get this audio up here.
That was should we give a little context before playing it? Okay. So you go ahead, because you were there.
Well, I got some daggers from Bruce at the end of this as well, but we don't have that clip. But I asked, and you know what? This is after talking to Pettersson about it, and I thought Pettersson gave a great answer, right? Gave a
he
great
even said
answer.
Great question.
Yeah, he told me it was a good question. Bruce, he didn't really think the same. Alex, you can go ahead and run the Bruce Boudreau audio here.
Those extended possessions that the other teams have, is there something, what are you looking for to break up on those extended possessions in the zone?
What are we looking for? We're looking to get the puck away from them. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, Bruce. So why isn't your team doing it?
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's a gripe that a lot of people, and Jim Rutherford included, I think that might be something that he's kind of I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to say Bruce doesn't know what he's talking about, because obviously the guy's a successful coach. Great coach. It's not what we're trying to say. But I understand also not being wanting to talk about it with the media after a loss.
Sure,
Like, we're
yeah.
not trying to do this whole, oh, Bruce should be held accountable for not talking to us and
No,
saying this.
He was clearly frustrated yesterday.
Absolutely, as he should be. His
Yep.
team just blew another lead. They just became the first team in history to blow 7 multi-goal leads en route to losses through their first 20 games. First team in history. Going back to all the 80s and stuff.
And you know what? That's so crazy that like it's 7 multi-goal leads that you've blown. Think about that. 7 multi-goal leads. You take home those wins. Look at what this team looks like at this point. But that's the thing. It's like, and I think we've heard players and the coach say this a lot. Like, yeah, but imagine, imagine if we won those games. Or it's like, yeah, but the problem is you have to imagine it, because the thing that's happening in reality is you blowing these leads, right? And I think that's the tough thing about this team, and that's why I think a lot of it needs to be reconstructed, is because whatever's going on, you can't imagine that you're going to hold on to those 2-goal leads anymore. Like, it's a joke online for people, right? It's people make jokes about it all the time. As soon as you get a 2-goal lead, like how the tweet that we've seen is like, the 2-goal lead for the Vancouver Canucks, the worst lead in hockey, right? Like it is the worst lead in hockey for the Canucks to have a 2-goal lead. And yeah, I've noticed just a little bit more talk about the structure and kind of more explanation coming from the players that has been interesting. And I found it pretty interesting. I think Pettersson talked about it. I asked JT about it today too, JT Miller. He said, we're all looking for the answer right now. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we're trying to change things. We're trying to continue with what we're doing, just do a better job. If we had the answer, I think we wouldn't have given up the league leading amount of 2-goal leads, but we're trying. And he said, like, if I had the answer, like, that's it. Like, right. Like, even
if he had the answer, he'd be sharing it with his teammates.
Yeah. And the way that he like answered that question, like, it was funny. It's just like, even started, it's like big deep breath, like, listen, man. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a tough answer. And he tried. Why don't we get to lines?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Here.
They had practice today. The lines, the big story. Niels Höglander moving up to the first line alongside Bo Horvat and JT Miller. What I found really interesting about this was when JT was asked about it, JT kind of looked over your shoulder and was like, can Hoggy hear me, or type thing? And Hoggy yells, I can hear you. And then he said he was trying to think of something. It's all in the scenes from Morning Skate. That's up now on Canucks
It was
Army.
a funny little
funny little sequence. But basically what Miller said is he's like, the guy plays fast. He's going to compliment us, that type of thing. Bruce Boudreau got asked about it, and he said, don't read into these lines. It was just to get Curtis Lazar some reps at center.
Which I like.
I like Lazar at center, but come on. I will eat my hat if the Canucks don't go with these lines tomorrow.
Yeah, you think Dries is the extra for sure? I think that's the move,
how can you roll these out at practice day and then on the plane decide that, you know what? I didn't really like what we saw from Höglander at that practice. I think Sheldon Dries needs to go back. I think Lazar needs to go back to the wing. Like, you're not going to come up. You've made your decision. Like, you can own up to it. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, it was just funny that, and it's not just Bruce, it's every head coach being like, don't read into the morning skate lines. Like, Travis was here for however many years. Every single day when he would get asked about morning skate, he's like, oh, we'll see if they go like that tonight, and then avoid the question.
Yeah. No,
sometimes he'd answer them.
And that's the thing. I think putting Lazar there makes this feel like more of a top 9, right? And I tell you what, it's another opportunity for Höglander where, and I asked Miller about it, like, what do you need to play with the duo of him and Bo? What do you want from a winger? And he just said, like, reliability and like you want, or predictability. Sorry, he said predictability. And I was like thinking in my head, I was like, Niels Höglander might be the most least predictable player in this whole lineup, but like he brings some excitement, right? And he brings a little bit of good creative offensive play. He's had success with Bo Horvat in the past. I mean, Connor Garland wasn't working the other night, right? Like he was not bringing much there. I was a little surprised, and I think when Boudreau did talk about maybe these aren't the lines to read into, the thing that came to my mind was, okay, maybe Brock Boeser going up to that line again. But it's like that line hasn't had a lot of success either.
Look, Harmon was on the show yesterday talking about how there's been one center in all of his years in the NHL that Niels Höglander has had success with, and it's Bo Horvat. You're not getting results without
he's been really
it.
Good this year with Pettersson too.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're not splitting up Kuzmenko, Pettersson, Mikheyev, right? So give Höglander a shot with Horvat. We said it on the show yesterday. I'm happy to see this.
Yeah. What do you think about tomorrow? So listen, tomorrow, like, and you could hear it from the players just talking to all of them. Like they don't need much to get up for playing the Stanley Cup champions at home, right? Like you're playing against the Colorado Avalanche. This is a really good team. I know they haven't been as good as maybe some people expected this season, but they're still a great team through and through. Do you think Spencer Martin goes between the
I do.
crease tomorrow? You think Spencer Martin goes tomorrow, eh?
I think it is Spencer Martin tomorrow.
He was
his former
the first
team too.
goalie off the ice tonight, but it's the day before, so it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
that much. But I did find that Demko was out quite a bit longer than Spencer Martin was today. Spencer Martin was off the ice pretty quick.
I think Martin gets a start. And I saw people on Twitter blaming last night on Thatcher Demko. He was excellent through 2 periods. And then maybe, there was that giveaway up the middle that you'd like to have back. And then that jam goal, I think Demko would definitely like to have stopped that one. I'd like stop every goal, obviously. Yeah. But you know what I mean? That's a goal that Demko, someone who prides himself on his post integration and his movement in the crease would like to definitely have. Like, that's a pretty routine save for him. But again, the defense in front of him, you saw the heat map. It wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good on any of the goals. So it's hard to put that game on Demko. Again, I'm not saying that they're starting Martin because Demko needs some great reset. I just think days off are going to help a goaltender.
And quite a few days off here, right? Like Monday, they don't play. They got 2 days off after this, so they don't play till Saturday. So you really give Demko a little bit of time here.
And they got something planned, a team building thing planned in Vegas.
Here's the thing about starting Spencer Martin tomorrow is like, hey, if, with those 2 days off and Bruce's situation with his job not being so secure, like Bruce Boudreau is making the decision here. I'm sure Ian Clark has a big hand in it, and probably enough of a hand to actually really make the decision for Bruce. But you'd think Boudreau would want to go with Demko on Wednesday, I think personally. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised to see Martin, because I think Ian Clark is making the decision. Maybe not the final decision, but it's like almost like how a GM makes the first round pick, but like the scouting staff has a huge influence on that, but the GM makes the final call. I think that's what I'm looking at with tomorrow's start. It's like Ian Clark has a huge influence on who's going to be between the pipes, but Bruce Boudreau is going to make the final call, and I think he might end up going with Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be Martin.
Because 2 days off. We've talked about that. Like, that's the thing, looking at the schedule for the Canucks. It's like you look at every 2 days off, and then if you get a loss there, that might be when it happens. And Jarhead says 6-2 for Colorado tomorrow. Wouldn't be shocked if we see that.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Martin. I still think it's going to be Spencer Martin.
Which player on the trade market on Frank Seravalli's top 20, which player surprised you the most that they weren't there? Was it Luke Shen, or was there another name?
It had to be Luke Shen. Like Frank was on the show talking about how it's going to be hard to move JT Miller's contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have a taker, and right now it doesn't sound like there was many around the league for JT Miller. So I think Luke Shen's probably the most surprising, because he looks like a player that a lot of teams would like to go get. Like, he adds a goal last night. I know it was an own goal, but hey, Luke Shen's getting pucks on net. He's playing first pairing minutes with Quinn Hughes. Like, teams notice that. The teams notice the leadership he brings. The guy's won 2 cups. He's got the market bump or whatever, because what's it called, the Stanley Cup tax. That's what he's got.
Yeah.
So again, like, he seems like a very lucrative trade target. I was surprised he's not there, but I wonder if the Canucks are looking at maybe, okay, let's see what an extension looks like for this guy. Like, maybe it's a Lazar type thing where you go, okay, well, here's some security for you. You got young kids. How about a 4-year deal at $1 million or whatever?
How much more value? And this, I see a question in here in the chat from Jarhead, but my question for you is, how much more valuable is Luke Shen than Tyler Mott? Because Tyler Mott got you a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
I have to think that Luke Shen is much more valuable.
Yeah, and I think it's
especially right shot.
It's an interesting,
good time to be a right D.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because with Mott, we were kind of like, okay, well, you got to be able to get a 2nd or a 3rd. Canucks can only get a 4th. So with Shen, I feel like people are saying, well, you got to get a 1st or a 2nd. If it comes down to Shen for a 4th, like, I understand you want to load up on draft picks, but is there much point of that? Like, is there much point of just letting go of Luke Shen for a 4th round pick?
Here's a great comment too from True Sight here on YouTube. And by the way, if you listen to the podcast, I know a lot of people do. More people listen to the podcast than they do on YouTube. But actually, tell you what, if everybody who listens to the podcast just heads over and subscribes, we'll be live on YouTube on our own new subscription. But True Sight asks, what's the point of having Hall of Fame Rutherford if he can't swing a Miller trade? No, seriously.
Yeah,
no, seriously. If you bring in Jim Rutherford, I don't think you're expecting him to, turn water into wine. But this guy has seen so much hockey. Like, has anybody been a part of an organization with more trades in their life? Like, I bet Jim Rutherford's, I don't know if you can track this, a person being in an organization and seeing actual trades. I bet there's not many that have seen more than Jim Rutherford. Seen how a trade comes together, how a trade happens, what teams need, how you move this type of player. like True Sight's got a good point. Like you got a Hall of Famer in Rutherford here overseeing what the general manager is doing. This would be a huge move if he was able to pull something off like that.
And to answer the question, what's the point of having Hall of Fame Rutherford here? Like, I hate to say it, but so far, the whole point of it has been to bring hope back into the fan base, but that's quickly faded away. Like, that has quickly faded away in this fan base. When Rutherford first got here, the talk of wholesale changes, all the talk of our defense needs to be better, all this sort of stuff. And now all we hear is, well, they're trying. And I understand it's hard to do business in the NHL right now, but like John Marino, you see what John Marino is doing in New Jersey right now. There was a rumored trade that, apparently Rathbone was going to be involved and the Canucks didn't want to move on from Rathbone. Rathbone's not much right now.
Yeah, they don't want to move him out of the press box right now.
And now it's, again, like it's not, again, you can't really fault someone for that, but at the end of the day, they're a management group, because I think I would have been part of the camp that would say, well, maybe don't move on from Rathbone for a guy like John Marino, but hindsight's 2020. I get it, but
yeah, and that's the thing with
Marino's having a great year is what I'm trying to say.
And with hindsight, it's looking back and it's like, man, you look at like in the summer when there was so many rumors, whether it be like at the draft, the Islanders, the trade's not happening. And it's like, man, all those things that like almost happened or feels like they might have almost happened. Imagine if they did all happen.
Yeah, exactly.
How much of a better place this fan base would be in with this team. Would they be worse? Maybe, but like, could it be that much worse? I don't know. Like
could it be more fun to watch? Probably.
Yeah, like you'd still have a better roster than the Coyotes, and the Coyotes are keeping up with the Vancouver Canucks in points right now. So like, I don't think it could be that much worse actual play on the ice if you were to get a lot of those deals done. So yeah, hindsight, looking back, it's like, even like the Rangers and the offer for JT Miller, like looking back, like I hate to do that because it's like, I don't know, I just hate when sports shows do that like way too much. So we try and like look forward a little bit, or at least talk about what's going on now. But yeah, like looking back, all the almost things really could help this team moving forward. Let's get to another one here with Jarhead says, does Schenn want to sign here? He's got to be frustrated with the losing.
It's a good question.
I will tell you what, I definitely believe that Luke Schenn is frustrated with the losing.
You think?
No, I mean,
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
You look at this, whether you're on the broadcast or in the arena, you can see like there's two players to me that really stick out where like maybe their body language is just a little bit more extravagant than other ones. But you look at Pettersson and Luke Schenn when things happen to the Canucks, and it is like, at least they care, right? And like you can just see the shoulders go down on Luke Schenn or the shoulders on Pettersson when they're on the bench and something happens, and you're like, man, like, because they're out there giving their all every single time, right? So I think those two players are very much frustrated with the losing. I would say that, like, in my eyes of just viewing this team, how I've seen the locker room evolve throughout the season, I think Pettersson and Schenn are the two most frustrated players in that locker room.
So it's interesting to see what happens next. Because with Pettersson, like I said it before, I feel like if you present him with a plan and say, hey, we're going to go through a quick, 2-3 year rebuild and it's going to be based around you, it's a little different than going to Luke Schenn and saying, hey, Luke, we want you to stick around for this. We don't know if you're going to be buried in the minors by the time this is done, but we want you to stick around. Like, I think Luke Schenn probably wants a third cup at some point, right?
Sure.
Like, who doesn't?
Get to Shann's question.
Yep.
Okay. More valuable to keep Schenn since he's a low cap. If he was higher, then there would be more value to send him out. Yeah, but I think with the expiring contract, like, if you're keeping Schenn here and this team is just losing all season long and you close out the season, like you said, I bet he wants to go try and win another cup. And I bet
you have to figure out where he stands.
And he's like, well, I'm going to go sign for $750 with the, name whatever team here. Like, I think that Luke Schenn would probably have a really good time fitting in with the Calgary Flames roster and the coach there.
I think he's getting more than $750 on this contract.
Sure,
too.
but it doesn't have to just be his next contract. Like, money wise, like if he seriously wants to win a cup, I don't think Luke Schenn's having a problem taking under $1 million to go try and win a cup again.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
36 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
All right, prospects report.
Niels Lundqvist is looking real good in Dallas. Cody Sievertson jumped in the chat.
I wish I had better stuff for the prospects report too, but like Jonathan Lekaramaki was just another no-show today in his Allsvenskan game. And it's like, I was just today, especially like with that game on in the background, I'm just like begging. I'm like, please just give me a Lekaramaki goal. Let me bring something positive to the show today. It's like, I just wanted anything positive. And it was like, barely noticed him, barely heard his name. And I was like, God. And then they get to a shootout and he doesn't even get selected to be one of the shooters. Get to overtime. He doesn't get a shift in overtime. So I don't know what to tell you folks. Like, I can't make up positive news. There's not. I'm trying. Like, let's try. Let's try. What's a positive thing you can say with the Canucks right now?
Ty Young stopped 21 of 22 shots.
Yeah,
Goaltender with the Prince George
like,
Cougars,
that was,
for those that don't know.
but he also played like 1 of 4 games for the Cougars. Played 4 games last 2 weeks, and he played 1 of them. So, not to poke holes.
Well, you asked me to say something positive, so I did.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Your whole Blackfish report, your Canucks Army prospect report, is up now. CanucksArmy.com. The Blackfish prospects report. We put it out every Tuesday. You didn't have much in there, but you did talk about
2 out of 10 week. I'm gonna start rating the.
I took that out, by the way.
Tell you, the rich keep getting richer, and what do? They just cut you down when you least expect it.
It was a bad line. Lekiramaki, you talked to the GM though. Also, you talked to Nils Höglander today, which was really funny. Get to that in a second. But you talked to the GM. What does he say about Lekiramaki?
Yeah, get that out of here, Alex. He cut out all my good lines, anyways.
What did he say about Lekiramaki slow start?
Just like that. There's a lot of things to work on at 5-on-5 for him. Needing to know the difference between playing in junior and playing in men's league, because Allsvenskan's no joke. Okay, it's the second tier in Sweden. It's no joke. It's closer. Like, Allsvenskan is closer to the SHL than like the AHL to the NHL. Like, it's very close. There's teams moving up and down throughout the leagues with relegation and promotion. So obviously very different league. And I think it's a strong league. So I think he needs to learn to play against men, which is strange because he had a really good start against SHL players last season. But I think the mono did affect a little bit, but I think we're at the point now where I don't know if that's an excuse that you can use anymore. I think the way that you can use mono as an excuse was he wasn't able to build muscle throughout the last 4 months. Which he needed
to do.
Which is huge. I do agree. That's a big thing, but he told me, like, he's 100% healthy now. The only thing that sucks is he missed basically 4 months of development in a very important time of your life. Like, Quads, you know what it's like putting on muscle at 18.
It's tough,
It's tough. So that's where he's at right now. We'll see him at the World Juniors. We'll see what he can do there.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get to the Betway bet. Man, I wish it was. And I tell you what, the Betway bets were losing yesterday too. We were looking so good yesterday with our bet, hitting the over, got the Pettersson goal, was feeling good, and then they blow another 2-goal lead, and I was like, God damn, here we go. I was hoping they're going to win in overtime, get us a big bet. But here's some positive news. I'm going to be watching my boy Tage Thompson today, my favorite player to watch in the NHL right now. And I got him scoring 2 or more points against the Montreal Canadiens. These two teams are putting up a ton of goals and also letting up a ton of goals. Tage Thompson as well. Get this, Quads. First 15 games of his season. How many games do you think Tage Thompson played more than 20 minutes in the first 15 games of his season?
It's got to be like 14.
0. He didn't play over 20 minutes once in his first 15 games of the season. Here's another question for you. Over his last 3 games, how many times has he played over 20 minutes?
0.
All 3 of them in his last 3 games. He's been over 21 minutes.
Thanh for the riddles. Okay.
Over his last 3 games. So Tage Thompson, 2 points, liking it against the Montreal Canadiens. Plus 200 over on Betway. And our second one, big bet. We almost hit this one yesterday, but we missed on it. So this one, we're getting some redemption today. Sabres to win over 6.5 total goals and Victor Olofsson to score. Olofsson, Quads, guess how many goals he had in his first 11 games of the season, Victor Olofsson?
I don't know, like 8?
First 11. Close. He had 9. How many goals does he have over his last 7?
Folks, he gives me no prep for these. I don't know. Over his last 7?
7 games.
He's got 7 goals in 7 games.
Nope, he's got 0 goals in his last 7 games. It's time to break the streak for Victor Olofsson and get back to what he was doing in the start of the year. So I got him scoring a goal tonight against Montreal Canadiens. Feeling good about that one at plus 750, actually. So those are Betway. That's it. Harmon Dial.
19
now
plus.
on Friday. Yeah, 19 plus. Bet the responsible way.
Harmon is over 19. Just barely.
You guys are the same age up.
Yeah, I'm a month older. Actually, I'm more than a month older. Doesn't matter. Okay, we'll close it out there. This is an interesting episode. We'll have a game to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow against the Avalanche. I'll tell you what.
We'll preview it a little more.
Yeah, we'll chat a little bit more about the game.
Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks.
Yeah, what do we have? Like, I searched it up here. I couldn't find it. So
clips are going up today. Clips are going up today. We'll be sharing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
your prospect report's going to go up. It's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, but you cut all the good lines.
Yeah, whatever.
So what's the point? What's the point of writing the damn thing if I can't get any of the good lines in there?
I mean, your video prospect report, the one you just gave. Anyways, we'll close it out there.
Yeah, well, that's going to do numbers of me wishing there something happened. Great.
For my disgruntled co-host, Chris Faber.
The rich keep getting richer, and us workers, we just keep getting more
Had to mute him.
Put on our shoulders. We gotta lift.
Had to mute him. For my co-host Chris Faber and our technical producer Alex Szilard, my name is Dave Grugelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
Free the people.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation, delivered by DoorDash. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a